'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.
The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap.
When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter.
The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer.
With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all.
As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they met with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh of full toys and St. Nicholas too.
And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound.
He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack.
His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow.
The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread.
He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose.
He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Christmas in the Manger. I am the star that shines in the east. I light the stable for man and beast. I am the donkey, soft and gray. I carried his mother from far away. I am the ram, with my curly horn. I guard the stall where the child is born. I am the ox, strong as steel. Before the only Son I kneel. We are the shepherds who watch the sheep. Tonight a holy watch we keep. We are the wise men, gifts we bring for baby Jesus, our newborn King. I am Mary, the mother mild. How I love my tiny child. I am the baby asleep in the hay, and I am the reason for Christmas Day.
Hi, I'm Hannah Kane. I'm state rep for Shrewsbury and Westboro, and I am here today to read you the story of Rodney the reindeer and the holiday catastrophe. Tickety-tock, tickety-tock. The hands of the countdown clock were slowly and steadily winding down, and all around the North Pole, everyone was doing something or going somewhere. There was so much work to do. It was the hurriest, flurriest time of the year, and no one was more excited about it than Rodney. He skipped hop through the sparkling snow all the way to Santa's garage. "How's the sleigh, Santa?" asked Rodney. "Do you need any help waxing it, shining it, washing it, drying it?" "We're just about done, Rodney. All I've got to do now is take it out for a little test drive," said Santa. "Say, would you like to?" But before Santa could even twitch a whisker, Rodney was sitting in the passenger seat of the shiny red sleigh, ready to ride. "Yahoo!" shouted Rodney as they zipped and zoomed over the North Pole. "Can you do any tricks?" he asked Santa. "Nothing fancy this time," said Santa. "Just a quick flight check." "Oh, come on, Santa," pleaded Rodney. "Couldn't we just do one litty loop-de-loop, please?" "Well, okay, Rodney," Santa said with a grin, "but just one." The wind swirled about Rodney's antlers as the sleigh climbed higher and higher. And as he hung upside down, a tickle of excitement danced around in his belly. All he could see was sky, and then a quick flash of red. Santa's hat! It blew right off his head and twirled away, and away, and away. "Santa, what are we gonna do?" Rodney gasped. "I don't see it anywhere." "We've got to find that hat," Santa said nervously. "It's the only hat I've ever worn on Christmas Eve. Mrs. Claus made it just for me, and my head gets so chilly." "I'm sorry," Santa said, Rodney in a small voice. Boy, did he feel terrible. None of this would have happened if he hadn't begged Santa for all that fancy flying. By Christmas Eve morning, the news had spread all across the North Pole. Search teams had come up empty-handed. Gloom blanketed what had always been the most magical day of the year, and no one had ever seen Santa so unjolly. Rodney sat in the square and looked around the sad little town, and he thought some more, and then he had an idea. "Santa, Rodney, any word?" Rhonda asked hopefully. "Has anyone found it?" "Not yet," said Rodney, "but I think you can help." Rhonda nodded as Rodney explained his plan. In no time at all, the elves were rushing to and fro with hat boxes of all shapes and sizes, trying desperately to help Santa find a hat that he liked. He tried them all: the chef hat, the clown hat, the cowboy and crown hats, hats for sailing, hats for siestas, hats made of fruit, and hats for fiestas. "Oh, who am I kidding?" Santa sighed. "Can you imagine me shimmying down the chimney in this fruit hat? It's no use. I could never replace my old hat." Everyone in the shop got very silent. "It's hopeless. Simply hopeless." It was clear to Rodney his idea wasn't going to work. He just had to go find that hat. So he combed through the powdery drifts they'd flown over just a few days before. In hours and hours of searching, he glanced over the horizon where suddenly the sun was starting to set. And what? Suddenly? Could it be? He thought he saw it. So he set off over the biggest hill in town for the chilliest place in the North and South Poles combined, Snowman's Land. And it was Santa's hat on top of the scariest, scowliest, grouchiest, growliest snowman Rodney had ever seen. Mr. Blizzard, an eyeful of frightful, and he towered over Rodney like an avalanche. Excuse me," stuttered Rodney. "I see you've found Santa's hat?" "Lost? This hat's not lost at all," bellowed Mr. Blizzard. "Why, it was delivered to my door only yesterday. By airmail, in fact, and just in time for Christmas." Rodney wanted that hat so badly, but he didn't know what to do. "Now go on home," grumbled Mr. Blizzard, "before I lose my cool." So Rodney went back to Rhonda's hat shop. In fact, he ran there, never looking back, not even once. "Santa, Santa," he called, "I found your hat, but the surliest, burliest old snowman found it first." I think I know just the snowman you're talking about," said Santa. And from inside his fuzzy coat pocket, he pulled out a long yellow scroll. Rodney knew he'd seen that before. It was the official list, the one of good boys and girls all around the world. Just as I thought," said Santa with a smile. "Mr. Blizzard, one winter hat." Rhonda shuffled through the back room and emerged with a beautiful cap in the merriest shade of green. "I've been saving this one for a special occasion," she said. And just to make it extra special, Mrs. Claus expertly knitted a big red bee on the front. She and Rhonda and several elves helped wrap it all up with shiny paper and curly ribbon in the fanciest hat box they could find. "Okay, Rodney," called Santa, "time for our first delivery." Who's there? What's all that racket? Who dares disturb? Mr. Blizzard was lost for words when he turned and saw Santa Claus, the Santa Claus, at his door. A present for you, Mr. B. Merry Christmas. A present? But I haven't been very good this year, stammered Mr. Blizzard. Oh, don't be silly, said Santa. Everyone deserves a do-over. Open it, Rodney cheered. And as he peeled away the wrap, Mr. Blizzard could hardly believe his eyes. It was exactly what he wanted. Mr. Blizzard placed the hat on his head and tied the strings. He handed the red hat with the furry trim back to Santa. Santa handed his cap to Rodney, and they all hiked back to town together through the twirling, swirling snow without feeling the slightest breeze. They made it back just in time for takeoff. Santa puckered his cherry nose, his cheeks started to get a little rosy, and his belly even shook a bit as he laughed. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas! And as Santa flew up, 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 and out of sight, he was as jolly as ever. The end.
Hi, I'm Senator Michael Moore, and today I am going to be reading Snow Place Like Home, The Incredible Snow Kids of Marshmallow Mountain. The Snow Kids of Marshmallow Mountain were meeting one troublesome Tuesday at 2. They all gathered around in their clubhouse. Fort Snowpack tried to decide what to do. Then Snow Joe, their president, rose to his feet. My dad says this place used to rock. There were tourists and festivals all through the year, and stuff going on around the clock. 'Cause Marshmallow Mountain was known as the home of the world's most incredible candy. So that's what they made in that empty old factory on Candy Cane Lane, added Andy. Hey, let's check it out, said the twins, Fridge and Midge, and all of the Snow Kids agreed. They started walking out, all except Spike, who snowboarded there at top speed. Snow Joe explained as they wandered inside, that's the candy contraption, you know. The famous machine that made all kinds of treats, but I guess it broke down years ago. I bet I could find some spare parts for that thing, said Spike, whose ideas were great. He knew all the junkyards that had the best stuff for the sculptures he liked to create. I'll find the recipes, Freeze Louise offered. I bet they've been all tucked away in grandmother's cookbooks and family kitchens. I better start looking today. Fridge and Midge painted some colorful flyers their fine feathered friends could deliver. Snow Joe and Andy sped off on their skates to tell all the snow folk downriver. Soon, everyone heard what those snow kids were doing. I'll tell you, those kids got spunk. There hasn't been this much excitement in town since the candy contraption went clunk. Then Snow Joe announced it was time for a test. Each pulley and gear was in place, each special ingredient poured into the hopper, a huge, hopeful smile on each face. The wheels started whirling, the spoon started stirring, and out popped one peppermint kiss. They waited and waited till Freeze Louise shouted, "It's got to go faster than this!" Then Andy's quick brain made some quick calculations, and soon he adjusted each dial. Then candy came rocketing out by the dozens, creating a mountainous pile. The Snow Kids got busy with boxing and bagging, and tasting a sample or two. They labeled and loaded and made their deliveries, and each had a fun job to do. The news got around that the Snow Kids had done it. They'd gotten things rolling again, and Marshmallow Mountain was just as exciting as snowfolk remembered back when. From Shiverdale Corners to Snowberry Falls, Chill Valley to Icicle Run, they came for a taste of that world-famous candy and stayed for the warm, friendly fun.
Minerva Louise on Christmas Eve. Minerva Louise loved the way the snow sparkled on the house with the red curtains. Hey, Those aren't just sparkles, she said. They're fireflies. And they're all dressed up in party colors. What fun. The party must be up there on the roof. Oh, look, they invited some goats. And the goats have put on their fanciest horns for the party. Hey, who else is here? Oh, it's a farmer in a red hat. Hello, Mr. Farmer. How did you get up there? Whoa, what happened to your truck? Did all the wheels fall off? You know, it's kind of slippery up here. Be careful you don't fall. Oh dear, I knew you'd fall. Minerva Louise jumped down into the well after him. She landed with a dusty plop into a nest she had not seen before. Oh, I must be inside, she thought. Wait a minute, that tree wasn't here before. It must have come in out of the cold. Oh, and that pretty white hen is sitting up there to warm it up. Look, she's been laying the most beautiful eggs. They're all over the branches. Hello, Mr. Farmer. What are you doing? Unpacking? But this is where my farmers live. Now take your stuff out of their socks. And don't eat that. It's their breakfast. What will my farmers say when they wake up? You tell him, she whispered. He's not listening to me. The farmer in the red hat just looked at her and smiled. Then he pulled something from his bag. For me, Minerva Louise was so thrilled. She just loved presents.
Hello, I'm Ellen Dolan from the Shrewsbury Public Library, and I'm going to read you a winter story today. I know the theme was Christmas books, but I'm doing one of my favorite winter books. It's called The Tomten by Astrid Lindgren, and it was illustrated by Harold Weiberg. It was actually published in 1961, so it's a very old story, and I remember it from my childhood. I hope you might come to the library and find this book for yourself. So, The Tomten. It is the dead of night. The old farm lies fast asleep, and everyone inside the house is sleeping too. The farm is deep in the middle of the forest. Once upon a time, someone came here, cut down trees, built a homestead, and farmed the land. No one knows who. The stars are shining in the sky tonight. The snow lies white all around. The frost is cruel. On such a night, people creep into their small houses, wrap themselves up, and bank the fire on the hearth. Here is the lonely old farm, where everyone is sleeping, all but one. The Tomten is awake. He lives in the corner of the hayloft, and he comes out at night when human beings are asleep. He is an old, old Tomten who has seen the snow of many hundreds of winters. No one knows when he came to the farm. No one has ever seen him, but they know he is there. Sometimes, when they wake up, they see the prints of his feet in the snow, but no one has seen the Tomten. On small, silent feet, the Tomten moves about in the moonlight. He peeps into cowshed and stable, storehouse and tool shed. He goes between the buildings, making tracks in the snow. The Tomten goes first to the cowshed. The cows are dreaming that summer is here, and they are grazing in the fields. The Tomten talks to them in the Tomten language, a silent little language that cows can understand. Winters come and winters go, summers come and summers go. Soon you will graze in the field. And there's the Tomten in the peaceful cowshed, with the cows looking at him. The moon is shining into the stable. There stands Dobbin, thinking. Perhaps he remembers a clover field where he trotted around last summer. The Tomten talks to him in a Tomten language, a silent little language a horse can understand. Winters come and winters go. Summers come and summers go. Soon you will be in your clover field. Now all the sheep and lambs are sleeping soundly, but they bleat softly when the Tomten peeps in at the door. He talks to them in the Tomten language, a silent little language the sheep can understand. All my sheep, all my lambs, the night is cold, but your wool is warm, and you have aspen leaves to eat. There he is peeking in at all the sheep and lambs, and all you see are his bright eyes. Then, on small silent feet, the Tomten goes to the chicken house, and the chickens cluck contentedly when he comes. He talks to them in a Tomten language, a silent little language that chickens can understand. Lay me an egg, my jolly chickens, and I will give you corn to eat. There's the Tomten down there. This is one of my favorite pictures. The dog kennel roof is white with snow, and inside Caro. Every night he waits for the moment when the Tomten will come. The Tomten is his friend, and he talks to Caro in Tomten language, a silent little language a dog can understand. Caro, my friend, is it cold tonight? Are you cold in your kennel? I'll fetch you more straw, and then you can sleep. That's the Tomten taking care of the dog. The house where the people live is silent. They are sleeping through the winter night without knowing that the Tomten is there. Winters come and winters go. I have seen people large and small, but never have they seen me, thinks the Tomten. There he is looking in the doorway. He tiptoes across to the children's cot and stands looking for a long time. If only they would wake up, then I could talk to them in the Tomten language, a silent little language children can understand. But children sleep at night. And away goes the Tomten on his little feet. In the morning, the children see his tracks, a line of tiny footprints in the snow. Then the Tomten goes back to his cozy little corner in the hayloft. There in the hay, the cat is waiting for him, for she wants milk. The Tomten talks to the cat in the Tomten language, a silent little language a cat can understand. Of course you may stay with me, and of course I will give you milk, says the Tomten. Let's get the bowl of milk for the cat. Winter is long and dark and cold, and sometimes the Tomten dreams of summer. Winters come and winters go. Summers come and summers go. Soon the swallows will be here, thinks the Tomten. He's dreaming of the swallows, and there's one right up there in his dream. But the snow still lies deep in drifts around the old farm in the forest. The stars shine in the sky. It is biting cold. On such a night, people creep into their small houses and bank the fire on the hearth. Here's the lonely old farm, where everyone is fast asleep, all but one. Winters come and summers go. Year follows year, but as long as people live at the old farm in the forest, every night the Tomten will trip around between the houses on his small, silent feet. There, you see his tracks. And that's the end. That's a quiet little story, The Tomten. And you can find that at the Shrewsbury Public Library.